Looking for a company to do work for them, Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs. And all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about it. It's simple. For more info, just call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223, and pick up your copy of the Downtown Ocala newspaper today.
And now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Veterans Helping Veterans USA. Call 352-433-2320. We help veterans and their families with limited financial assistance, counseling, employment referrals, and a food and clothing bank. You can help in making a huge difference in the veterans' lives we serve by donating food, clothing, household items, or direct financial assistance. All donations are tax deductible. Veterans Helping Veterans USA. 352-433-2320. Thank you for your attention, and God bless America.
Are you among the millions of Americans who feel uncertain when it comes to their health care? Well, right now is the only time of the year you can do anything about it. So make the switch to Liberty Health Share. As a health care sharing ministry, we are not insurance, so you can pick your program, choose your doctors and hospitals, and choose when you sign up. We have programs for singles, couples, and families, all with no contracts, starting at only $199 per month. Go to libertyhealthshare.org/WOCA. That's libertyhealthshare.org/WOCA.
Today will be mostly sunny and becoming less humid throughout the day with a high 78 to 84. For tonight, it will be clear, low 52 to 61. Then for tomorrow, a full day of sunshine. Thursday's high 81 to 83. And a clear night, low 54 to 58. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Kevin Snyder.
The Paycheck Protection Program under the CARES Act provides 100% federally guaranteed loans to small businesses. Available to businesses with fewer than 500 employees. Funds can be used towards payroll costs, rent, utilities, and interest on mortgages. Small businesses are encouraged to get, gather, and go. Get informed by visiting getgathergo.com. There you can gather the needed information and go apply as soon as the SBA program opens with local lenders. For info, visit getgathergo.com to get your business ready to apply.
Pals Ocala Auto Repair fixes all makes and models. Pals makes sure that your vehicle's engine, mechanical, and electrical components are healthy at all times. Pals team would much rather see you drive to their shop for a full checkup than be towed in for a complex repair. Give Pals a call today to schedule your next service appointment. 352-414-2984. What? A nationwide warranty, 36 months or 36,000 miles, whichever comes first? Pals looks forward to servicing you and servicing your vehicle. 352-414-2984.
I'm Jan from Palm Garden. The well-being and safety of our residents is our top priority and at the heart of every decision we make. There are no visitors permitted in our center, but family members are encouraged to reach out by phone or Skype, Facebook or FaceTime. Everyone is screened daily and wears a mask. New guests are tested and quarantined for 14 days. The response to these measures has been overwhelmingly positive. Thank you for your support and partnership. We are Palm Garden.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
You're listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, broadcasting to you live from the Paddock Mall. We are streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, The Source Radio. Beautiful day. Beautiful sunshine today. It's 57 degrees from where we're at. As we got a little bit of rain yesterday, which was good, and we begin the month, April, here 2020. With that being said, it is time for news bits of news that we can chew on. As one of the first ones I want to pull up is local to Ocala here, but has been mentioning quite a bit in lieu of the cruise ship. I think it's pronounced the Zadam or the Zandam. Is the Holland cruise ship. It says here, Ocala couple aboard the Holland American cruise ship is stuck at sea as Ocala residents Roy and Diane Smith. It says here the Zadam, with at least 8 COVID-19 infected passengers on board, is being turned away at all ports. Roy and Diane Smith have been confined to their cabin for at least 10 days now, and family worry that they are near the breaking point. 3 weeks ago, Roy and Diane Smith embarked on a planned month-long cruise set around the Cape Horn, glide up the west coast of Africa, west coast of South America, across the Panama Canal. But the Ocala couple's dream excursion quickly turned into a waking nightmare as they found themselves stranded aboard the Holland America lines, trapped with at least 8 COVID-19 infected passengers, and turned away at ports throughout the Western Hemisphere. The ship is sailing toward its home port in Fort Lauderdale, but as of Tuesday, local officials and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis were not prepared to give it birth. It says making matters worse, a flu-like illness is sweeping through the ship. Dozens are sick. 4 people have died on board, the cruise line announced. Their cases and causes of death were not clear. On March 4th, as the Smiths, who live within the city of Ocala, prepared to fly to Buenos Aires, the specter of the new coronavirus was far from their thoughts. Quote, 8 months in planning, we are off to South America this afternoon to check off another bucket list vacation while we still have the strength to do it, Roy Smith wrote on his Facebook page. Roy, 67, Diane, 76, moved to Ocala a couple years ago from Naples to be closer to Diane Smith's son, David Parks, who lives in Orlando. Quote, my mother grew up with heroes, so that was part of the reason they moved. Grew up with horses, That's why they had moved to Ocala, said Parks, who spoke about the Smiths saga on Tuesday. The Smiths themselves were not immediately available for comment due to them being at sea somewhere near Jamaica. Parks spoke with them on Monday when the ship was going through the Panama Canal. Quote, they have been in isolation for 10 days. They have a window in their cabin and it doesn't open, so they have no fresh air, Parks said, adding their only time out of the cabin was a 30-minute jaunt on deck. On March 7th, the Smiths boarded Zandam, the boat Zandam, while the world was still figuring out how to react to the virus. A week earlier, the State Department warned citizens to avoid cruises in Asia. Quote, they left before the cruise advisory had come out, Parks had said. But just barely on March 8th, the cruise ship chugged towards Uruguay. The State Department advised citizens to avoid all cruises. On March 11th, as the Smiths enjoyed Montevideo, Uruguay's capital city, the World Health Organization classified COVID-19 as the pandemic. Still, the only mention of the illness of the Smiths' Facebook page was a reference to a seasickness due to rough seas. However, by March 14th, much of the world, including the U.S., was shutting its borders. And aboard the boat Zandam, the vacation came to an end. Quote, we just got the news this morning that our cruise is being terminated and we are to be put ashore in Santiago, Chile. We continue to have a good time despite everything, Smith wrote on March 14th. But Chile denied the permission to dock. Argentina and Peru followed suit. They were able to resupply off the coast of Valparaiso in Chile on March 21st. We have been taking on stores all night. Those guys have got to be absolutely exhausted. It's a really slow process, bringing everything out by small boat instead of loading forklift at the dock, Smith wrote. That was the where was it? It says that was the that was also the day passengers were confined to their cabins, 10 days in isolation, and is taking its toll. It says they have remained pretty upbeat, but they are seeing in their emails that they are starting to get to their mental breaking point, Parker said. The news that Florida will not allow the ship to dock hit the couple hard. People in Florida need to stand up for this and help us get home, quote, Smith wrote on Monday. Parks said that the longer his mother and stepfather are abroad, the greater the chance of them falling ill. Quote, they live in Florida. They don't dock in Fort Lauderdale. Let them dock in Jacksonville. They have a military base, and that's where they can be quarantined, he says. They are in a higher risk group, and I am definitely worried and ready for them to be home. So it sounds like a nightmare nonetheless, in lieu of little bits of the cruise ship that we've heard through national news and some of the state news as to them trying to dock but then being turned away, that it hits even more, not just state but local, considering that there is an Ocala couple from our county on board dealing with what's going on there. And one of the things I didn't know, now having read the article, just kind of how dire the situation became, got not only COVID-19, but a flu that is also going around on the boat as well. That's something I didn't know of until reading the article here with the Star Banner. And I just hope they get home. I hope they can be taken care of. That always kind of comes back to the idea now of cruises and everything else. What a trying time to have been on one, even though it didn't come out yet for it to be called a worldwide pandemic. And with the expectations of a month-long cruise, the world itself still not knowing exactly what was going to be going on with COVID-19. Crazy. And with that even being said, too, with having dozens sick and then already have 4 people that have died on board is a little heavy nonetheless. But I wish them all the best. Saw some prayers to get on home. And at some point, not a bad idea to think about Jacksonville, like they said, in lieu of a military base. And we'll find out, too, more what they're going to do to bring them home on that nonetheless. As more news comes about, one of the things I talked about within the 7 o'clock hour was that with more news coming about, it's always tough nowadays to take a lot of it as completely and utterly true, and or grain of salt to the idea that it's got a little bit there to shock you. And with part of reading news bits is just to get the information of the article out there so you can carry your own onlook to it and conversation about it. But with the boat, that one's a little interesting. That one's a little crazy. I just can't imagine being on a boat with already 4 people dead and the flu going around and cases of a worldwide pandemic. That's heavy. That's heavy. Moving on, house vehicle damaged in Ocala by a drive-by shooting. It's there. No one was hit. A house and a sport utility vehicle were struck by bullets Tuesday in a drive-by shooting. At 11:50 a.m., Ocala Police Department officers received calls about shots fired along the southwest 7th Street. When officers went to the location, they were told that a vehicle drove by and an occupant or occupants fired shots, hitting a home and a vehicle. Authorities said no one was injured in the shooting, and evidence technicians took pictures of at least 2 bullet holes, one by the side of the home and the other by the front door of the SUV. Officers blocked off surrounding streets looking for vehicle and the person or persons responsible for the shooting. Within the past week, the police have responded to several shootings. One of them was on March 25th when a resident of Northwest 19th Avenue was shot at by someone about 4 a.m. Again, no one was injured. As officers were investigating that shooting, they were called to a local hospital where a juvenile was being treated for a gunshot to the leg. Officers were told that the boy was walking down the street when he was shot. The week before, officers recorded 4 shootings, one of them involving a fatality. Officials said that the incident will be reviewed by the state's attorney's office. And anyone with any information about Tuesday's shooting, please give a call. The OPD, Ocala Police Department, at 352-369-7000. Or you can contact Crime Stoppers at 368-7867. And, of course, you can visit them, ocalacrimestoppers.com. Again, for the Ocala Police Department, 369-7000, and for Crime Stoppers, 368-7867. So hearing that doesn't make you feel any better, as that's going on within our county, as said. Just a lot lately as we make our way through the week, trying to stay positive in some limelight to the idea of still stuff that's going on around is a lot. But nonetheless, crazy. This one's a little interesting here. It says Florida inmates forced to eat tobacco in state prison east of Orlando. Here it says Orlando, Florida, after an extensive internal probe, Florida investigators determined 2 state prison officers in Orange County, a sergeant and a captain, forced at least 3 inmates to eat tobacco to punish them for processing what is considered contraband in the correctional facility. The sergeant resigned, captain fired, and the inmate abuse is not tolerated for the ingesting of the tobacco potentially fatal. It says Sergeant Carl Belhan resigned from his position at an East Orange County State Prison called the Central Florida Reception Center on January 28th. The Florida Department of Corrections confirmed this month that Captain Jeffrey Langford was fired February 28th. People can get violently sick from eating tobacco because it is infused with nicotine and a potent and addictive stimulant. Consuming large amounts can cause nicotine poisoning and death, said Dr. Jason Burness, the director of medical services at the prison, who told state investigators. It says here, Breen's agreed that the forcing a person to eat tobacco was a form of abuse, and such action should be placed with the person at risk, said the state report. The Florida Department of Corrections, quote, takes all allegations of abuse and mistreatment of inmates seriously and encourages all inmates and staff to promptly report inappropriate or illegal conduct. The agency said in a statement this month that allegations were reported promptly and investigated aggressively and thoroughly. It says here the Central Florida Reception Center with 1,600 male inmates is north of State Road 528 and about 5 miles east of State Road 417. And the alleged abuse happened sometime between September 19th and early 20th, according to the report released earlier this month by the officer of the Inspector General, the watchdog of the Florida's prison system. Just crazy, nonetheless. Here it says it was one corrections officer said he saw Belhan reach into the right pocket of his pants that night and remove a large bag of cigarettes while telling Lanford, "We have a smorgasbord and an all-you-can-eat buffet." The names of the 3 allegedly abused inmates, along with the other details, were blacked out of the 34-page report because of medical privacy laws and other reasons. The otherwise detailed report was released to Spectrum News after a request under Florida's public records law March 5th. It was widely known among inmates that they would be forced to ingest tobacco cigarettes if they were caught with the contraband. Prison officials would make them eat it, they said, instead of following the punishment policy. Seizing cigarettes, preserving the evidence, and filling disciplinary reports for inmate violators, they said. Those who wouldn't eat were then threatened with confinement. Senior Inspector Mark A. Garcia interviewed more than a dozen inmates and multiple staff members and reviewed video footage, photos, and medical records. Garcia determined that there was a preponderance of evidence reasonably supporting all allegations that Belhan and Langford abused inmates with the forced tobacco consumption punishments in bathrooms outside the views of the cameras. Crazy. In a statement of the Florida Department of Corrections said it has, quote, zero tolerance for staff who act inappropriately and contrary to the core values respect, integrity, courage, selfless service, and compassion. That is heavy. Man, that's heavy. That's intense. And I just want to point out one thing too: the name of the place. I think the name of the place is a little ridiculous too. Just reading the article, it's incredible nonetheless. But man. Anyway, moving on with news bits, we want you to stay tuned as we're making our way towards the top of the 9 o'clock hour. As after the 9 o'clock hour, we'll have On Top of the World, we'll have Robert Colin in the studio to change our subject a little bit in the narrative of what we've been talking about with coronavirus, COVID-19, to move towards some good stuff, some limelight for the community and what they'll be doing. In lieu of the discussing of the new developments for the swimming facility. Charter school is another big project, so stay tuned for that. And then at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour will be Laura Burns. We'll have on the phone calling the studio here to talk from our friends at Career Source to see what they're doing within the community and to still provide opportunity for information in lieu of job placement. As we roll out here Wednesday, April 1st, this was interesting, some good news. It says after a wedding cancellation, newlyweds donate nearly 400 meals. A couple in England got married on March 21st, but thanks to COVID-19, their reception was canceled. Rather than throw out all the food that was already ordered and prepared in lieu of the newlyweds' reception and wedding reception, the couple donated their entire reception dinner to healthcare workers, feeding around 400 of them at 2 different hospitals. Now, see, that's thinking outside the box there, and that's pretty clever. And it's kind of a sad note too when you think about. I got a couple friends that are looking forward to a wedding, not till June, but they're still up in the air on whether or not they can think about planning it and finish the financing for it if it's going to happen, or just have to cancel it altogether. And I had some family that was a cousin of mine that was going to get married abroad, and they decided to just have it here local, stateside. But even that had to be thwarted in lieu of social gatherings. So that's always tough there. But kudos to them for the newlyweds that donated 400 meals. In lieu of all of that food that would have been there for the reception. Pretty good, pretty upstanding there. As we are coming to the top of the 9 o'clock hour, like we said, stay tuned for On Top of the Road with Robert Colin. We're going to be back right after this. WOCA Ocala, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
News. I'm Chris Foster. Deaths from coronavirus have passed 4,000 in the United States, and President Trump says
we're going to go through a very tough 2 weeks. As the experts are predicting, as I think a lot of us are predicting after having studied it so hard, you're going to start seeing some real light at the end of the tunnel, but this is going to be a very painful, very, very painful 2 weeks.
The White House estimates 100,000 to 240,000 deaths if people go along with guidelines on stopping the virus spread. It's the first of the month, and layoffs mean a lot of people may not be able to make rent or mortgage payments.
Contact your mortgage servicer before you fall behind. That's like the biggest key.
Cody Payne's an industrial real estate expert in Dallas. A new 2-minute COVID-19 testing kit for medical professionals has now been approved by the FDA. America's listening to Fox News.
Napa know-how.
Whether you're a car guy or just a guy who uses a car or not a guy at all, you know the ear-piercing screech of a worn-out brake pad. But thanks to Napa, you don't need to know your way around a toolbox to get a quality part installed. Because while there are 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores, there are also more than 17,000 Napa Auto Care centers. So whether you do it yourself or have it done for you, all you need is Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
America is a great big country filled with all kinds of different people.
And we all count.
That's why the 2020 census
wants to make sure we're all counted.
Why is it so important?
Because the census helps inform how hundreds of billions of dollars will be spent each year for things like
new roads,
health clinics,
even more school programs.
So make sure you're counted.
Because you count.
Shape your future. Start here. Complete the census at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
WOCA.
On the first and third Wednesday mornings each month at 9:05 a.m., Robert Colin with On Top of the World will be our guest as we learn all about the exciting lifestyle and new home choices available at Ocala's premier adult active community, On Top of the World. From time to time, Robert will bring guests, and